about a momentous occasion for our beloved home state of Indiana, the celebration of our bicentennial. On December 11, 1816, President James Madison signed the Indiana Enabling Act, which allowed Indiana to be the 19th state to join the Union and required that Indiana's leaders draft a state constitution. In the 2 centuries since Indiana's admission to the Union, Indiana residents, and we call ourselves Hoosiers, have accomplished extraordinary things. In 1840, William Henry Harrison became the first Hoosier to be elected president. In 1888, Benjamin Harrison, his grandson and fellow Hoosier, followed in his footsteps to the presidency. 5 Hoosiers have served our nation as vice president: Schuyler Colfax, Thomas Hendricks, Charles Fairbanks, Thomas Marshall, and Dan Quayle. And just a few short weeks ago, Americans elected Governor Mike Pence to serve as our new vice president. He will become the 6th Hoosier to serve in this role. We have a well-deserved reputation as the mother of vice presidents. As many of you know, when Dan Quayle was elected as president, George Herbert Walker Bush's vice president, in fact, I was appointed to fill his vacant Senate seat. Vice President Quayle has been a close friend and source of advice to me throughout the years. And when President Trump elected Mike Pence, or named Mike Pence, to be his running mate, I knew Hoosiers would continue to have a strong impact on our country, providing guidance and leadership in one of the top elected offices in our land. I'm honored to call both Dan Quayle and Mike Pence close friends and now commemorate the great work they have done for the state of Indiana and have and will do for our nation. We've had excellent governors, excellent representatives, senators, and others who have contributed significantly to this body and to the Congress and to the nation. And we are proud of that as Hoosiers. I keep using the word Hoosiers because we have been misnamed as Indianans, which is hard to pronounce and awful hard to spell. We are Hoosiers. I could go into a long discourse of what Hoosiers mean, but I won't take the Senate time to do that right now. Please contact my office and we'll send you a full description of what Hoosier is. But you're going to see 2 of them here on the floor today. Well, talented, loyal public servants are not the only contribution our great state has made to the nation. During the Civil War, over 200,000 Hoosiers answered the call to serve. Though only one Civil War battle was fought in Indiana, more than 24,000 Hoosiers lost their lives and an estimated 50,000 were wounded. And during World War II, nearly 10% of Indiana's population joined our nation's armed forces. Those who stayed behind contributed greatly to the manufacturing boom required for the war effort, manufacturing nearly 5% of all weapons and equipment required for the war. Our state has continued that that call to service to the military, and we have for years and decades been one of the leading states providing per capita support to our armed forces. In addition to these accomplished Hoosiers which I've named, the places and events that make Indiana unique are numerous, and I just want to mention a few, and I don't want apologize to those that we don't have time to put in place here. But as Senator Donnelly and I know, a few months ago we commemorated the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 on this Senate floor. Known as the world's greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500 is a great source of pride to Hoosiers throughout the state and throughout the country. Every year our race is an epic event as drivers jockey for position at speeds regularly surpassing 200 miles per hour. And in addition to the Indy 500, the Little 500 down at Indiana University, the automotive industry that has deep ties to Indiana, is prominent in our state. In 1896, the Haynes-Apperson Company opens its doors in Kokomo, Indiana, producing one of the very first automobile manufacturing sites in the entire United States, and it operated until 1905. Its 1904 model seated 2 passengers and sold for $1,550 at the time. Now, you don't have to go too much further north of Kokomo, Indiana, to arrive in the city of Auburn, where the Cord Duesenberg and other popular cars were manufactured. And every year, the Cord Duesenberg Festival, Parade, and Museum is open to people from around the world to see a magnificent parade of cars of that era in absolutely perfect shape. And if you find yourself in southern Indiana, take a minute to stop by the Lincoln Boyhood National Memorial in Spencer County. Abraham Lincoln may have been born in Kentucky. He may have ended up in Illinois, but he was raised and shaped in Indiana. In addition to our landmarks, some of America's most famous buildings have been constructed using Indiana limestone. The Pentagon, the National Cathedral, the Lincoln Memorial, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the Empire State Building in New York, and many more, all feature Indiana limestone quarried in south central Indiana. Our state has been blessed with a climate of soil fit for all kinds of agricultural activities. According to the state's Department of Agriculture, 83% of Indiana's land is dedicated to either farms or forests. God has blessed us with a climate and a soil fit for all kinds of agricultural activities. According to the state's Department of Agriculture, 83% of Indiana's land is dedicated, as I said, to farms and forests. And while corn and soybeans are our top commodities by value, Indiana produced $11.2 billion worth of agricultural products in 2012. This includes 41.5 million broiler chickens, 10.5 million hogs and pigs, numerous dairy products, and 37,000 acres of vegetables harvested for sale. And the next time you head to a movie theater, think of Indiana. Indiana produces more than 20% of the United States popcorn supply, and a great deal is exported around the world. We're also a world leader in pharmaceuticals, biologics, and medical devices. Our medical device industry is the 5th largest in the U.S., generating more than $10 billion in annual economic output. Hoosiers truly are working hard to provide healthier, longer, more rewarding lives for all Americans. And not only does Indiana seek to enrich the quality of life of Hoosiers through its contributions to the medical manufacturing field, we also do this through our institutions of higher education. Hoosiers do not need to travel far to receive a high quality of education. We boast a rich variety of world-class colleges and universities, such as Indiana University, Purdue University, Butler University, Notre Dame University, Indiana State, Rose-Hulman, Trine, Grace, Manchester, Earlham, Evansville, Indiana Wesleyan, Valparaiso, and on we could go. I'd be remiss if I were to neglect mentioning my own graduate school, alma mater, the Indiana University Robert M. McKinney School of Law. This quality of education bleeds into the quality of coaching found in Hoosier schools. There is nothing quite like being in the stands during a Hoosier high school basketball game. The coaching quality that we have has produced all-stars in every facet of basketball, whether it be professional, college, high school, or elementary. There's nothing quite like being in the stands during Taylor University's Silent Night, where the fans pack the basketball stadium and stay completely silent until the home team scores their 10th point. Then the noise really starts, and the game finishes with the fans singing Silent Night. Through the years, so many Hoosier teams have proved to be formidable foes on the court and the field. We're the home of the Colts, the Pacers, the birthplace of Larry Bird, James Dean, David Letterman. On and on I could go with that. But in addition to recognizing all that Indiana has contributed to our nation over the past 200 years, I would like to add that one of our greatest contributions has been and will be always Hoosier hospitality. While at times our country is a more divided and complicated place, Hoosiers continue to demonstrate the kindness and a good meal that can make the world a little better. It's an honor for me to commemorate this bicentennial for this great state of Indiana. I'm honored to be able to do this with my fellow Senator Joe Donnelly from Indiana. And with that, Mr. President, I would like to yield the floor for that purpose.